Hey everyone, before we start, be sure to hit subscribe and the bell to get notifications of new videos. Today we are doing throwing a pot with inlaid clay. This is terracotta in a nice white clay so that we get that nice contrast. You can use stained clay, you can use any two clay combinations. The terracotta and the white is a really nice contrast that'll fire whiter, and the terracotta will be more toasty once it's been fired. You can be as ornate as you like. This one I just had straight strips of clay, which I'll demonstrate in just a moment. I had 3 of them. You could have more. You could have them on diagonals. Get creative with it. So for starters, we will just center a piece of clay as we would normally. Turn the wheel on, that might help. Okay. I like to cone when I center so that we get rid of any inconsistencies that might be on the inside of the clay. I do that a few times. Open the clay up as per usual. Compress the base. Now I'm going to bring up the sides, and I'm going to bring up the sides and leave them quite thick so that we can carve out channels to put our contrasting clay colour in. I want it to be fairly even. So I've probably gone for here, say maybe 7 mils-ish. Depends on how big your pot is going to be. And I've tried to keep it reasonably even all the way up. And so now I'm going to stop the wheel and carve out my little channels that I'm going to pop the contrasting clay into. I'll do it for the sake of the demonstration. I'll do it the same as this one, so I'll carve out 3 channels. I don't want to go too deep because I don't want to lose too much structural integrity, so I'm only going to go in a couple of mil, and I'm just going to eyeball it over the top to get it approximately measured correctly. If you want to be more precise, you can use a ruler and all that kind of thing, but I'm just going to eyeball it from the top. So I'm just going to come down straight line, try and keep it nice and even, which is why it's also good to throw it nice and straight, because then it's easier to do that. Okay, now I'm going to eyeball it so I'm basically dividing it into thirds because I'm doing 3, and try and keep them all approximately the same. Doesn't have to be precise, you'll still get a nice effect. And the third one, about here. I'm just going to clean my hands because I'm going to get those terracotta pieces. I've already rolled out some coils, and now I'll just roll them out to fit the channels that I've cut out approximately. So, board, terracotta. So I just rolled out some rough coils. So I'll just get that going a little bit more there. A little bit thinner. Where's my knife? There it is. Knife. Just going to cut it off flush up the top here. Do my next one. And one more. You could do any sorts of patterns or designs on this. You could do dots, you could do little squares. The sky's the limit really, or your imagination is. So you can pretty much do anything. Now I'm just going to pat these in just to be a bit more uniform with the clay, so it's going to be easier to assimilate them once the wheel starts spinning. I'm supporting it from the inside as well so that I don't push it out of shape. So now I'm just going to go about half speed, and just before I start throwing, I'm just going to kind of just blend them in just to even out that shape. And so I'm not really throwing anything, I'm not thinning the clay, I'm not pulling the clay, I'm just evening it out. Going over with my fingers now that it's done that, just to try and even it out a bit. And now I'll do the same thing again, just get it nice and even on the clay body before I start throwing. Including the rim. Okay, so that feels pretty good. When you can kind of feel no lumps and bumps and ridges and what have you, then we can start throwing the form that we want. So I'm just going to lift it up a little bit first, then I might do a bit of bellying out to kind of get some movement in those stripes. Do a little bit of bellying out now. mopping up the water in there as I go so that we don't saturate the base. More left there to pull up. I might just put this rim in a little bit, the neck in a little bit more. Give it a bit more of an elegant sort of a shape. Now, if I just stopped the wheel now, you wouldn't really be able to see those pieces of terracotta. They're not very refined. Even if I run a sponge around it to get rid of the surface slurry, they're not really very defined. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use a metal kidney. To scrape back a little bit of that surface to reveal the terracotta. I'm also just going to get rid of a bit of thickness from around the bottom first. Just a little bit. That'll do. Alright, here we go. So when I stop the wheel now, you can see that that's much more defined. So I'm going to keep going over that again, and I'll do the neck and the rim as well. I'm just using the curve of my kidney to curve that neck around. So you can see that that's much more defined now. And get it off the wheel. Undercut it first. Hopefully it cooperates. Push some of that water underneath it because we want it to slide. Moving a little bit, but not a lot. Doesn't want to cooperate. So I'm going to give it a little nudge. Just spreading my fingers apart really a lot. Little nudge. And it doesn't want to nudge. So I'm going to leave it on the wheel to set. I'll come back in about an hour and a half, and it should be okay to come off because I don't want to distort the pot. But you get the idea. So stay tuned for more. I might do one with some stained clay, and we'll go over how to make some stained clay and do some different kind of designs rather than stripes. Yeah, so hit notifications so that you can get notified of when that next video comes up. Okay, thanks for watching.